It rises nearly 4 kilometers straight out of the Atlantic Ocean. The roof of Spain, a snow-dusted peak towering over a sun-drenched holiday island where millions of tourists take their photos every single year, most of them with absolutely no idea what they are actually standing on. Because Mount Teide is not just a beautiful backdrop, it is a living, active volcano, one of the most dangerous in all of Europe. And right now, deep beneath it, it is stirring. Over 1,000 tiny earthquakes have rippled through its foundations in a matter of days, the latest in a decade-long series of restless episodes. And this is not some remote peak in the wilderness. This volcano sits beneath. Nearly 1 million residents and one of the most heavily visited tourist destinations on the planet. So when Mount Teide stirs, the whole world takes notice. Today, we are going to get to know this giant, what it is, why an eruption here would matter so much, its violent history, and the honest truth about what these new rumblings do and do not mean. Because to understand the news, you first have to understand the mountain. I'm going to give it to you straight, the way I always do. The real stakes, the real history, and the honest scientific assessment. Because understanding this properly is what turns fear into genuine, grounded awareness. This is not a doomsday video, and by the end, you will see exactly why the scientists are calm, even as the ground shakes. But it is also a story about one of the most consequential volcanoes on Earth, and why the people who study it never, ever look away. So stay with me. Let us meet the sleeping giant of the Atlantic. Let us get into it. But before we do me one quick favor. Drop a comment right now and tell me, have you ever been to the Canary Islands or seen Mount Teide with your own eyes? And if not, tell me, is Tenerife on your travel list? I read every single comment. And if you want to be the first to know the moment anything changes with this volcano or any other, subscribe right now. It is completely free. Hit that like button too. Let us push for 5,000 likes on this one so the algorithm gets it in front of the people who care about this. All right, let us get into it. So let me introduce you to Mount Teide properly, because the scale of it is genuinely staggering. Teide stands 3,715 meters tall, making it the highest peak in all of Spain, higher than anything on the Spanish mainland, and it is not even on the mainland. It rises from the middle of Tenerife, the largest of the Canary Islands, a Spanish archipelago off the northwest coast of Africa. Teide is the centerpiece of a volcanic complex, sitting inside a vast ancient crater called Las Cañadas Caldera, itself a scar left by a catastrophic collapse in the volcano's deep past. It is one of the most visited natural wonders in the world, drawing millions of tourists a year who ride cable cars up its flanks and hike its otherworldly Mars-like landscapes. And here is the number that changes everything about this story. The island of Tenerife is home to nearly 1 million people. This is not a volcano in an empty wilderness. It is a volcano with a city's worth of people living in its shadow, and millions, more visiting every year. And that single fact, the sheer number of human lives gathered around it, is what makes Mount Teide one of the most important volcanoes on Earth to watch. Now let me tell you what is happening right now, the reason it is in the news. Over just a couple of days, more than 1,000 small earthquakes were recorded beneath the volcano, with one monitoring network counting close to 2,000 of these tiny tremors, coming in frantic bursts. The epicenters were concentrated in the heart of the volcano, in the Las Cañadas area, near the southwestern villages of Guía de Isora, Villaflor, and Santiago del Teide. And this is the 10th such swarm on the island this year alone, the latest pulse in a pattern of restlessness that has been going on and off for a full decade, with similar episodes recorded across the years since 2016. The volcano has been stirring like this for a long time. This is its rhythm. So let us talk honestly about the stakes, because this is where you understand why the world watches so closely. If Mount Teide were ever to erupt significantly, the consequences for Tenerife would be profound. You have a densely populated island where a huge number of people live, work, and vacation on a landmass where there is nowhere to simply drive far away. It is an island, and evacuation is a genuinely complex logistical challenge. You have a tourism economy that is the lifeblood of the region. You have villages sitting on the volcano's flanks, in the very zones where these earthquake swarms are concentrated. This is precisely why Tenerife has invested in making Teide one of the most intensely monitored volcanic systems in all of Europe. Wired with a dense web of seismic sensors, GPS stations, and gas measuring instruments watched around the clock. The close monitoring exists because the stakes are so high. When you have that many people living beside a giant, you do not take your eyes off it, ever. And make no mistake, this is a giant with a real history. Teide is not extinct. It is dormant, which is a very different thing. This volcanic complex has erupted many times over the millennia, and even in recorded history, the island of Tenerife has seen eruptions. The Most recent on the island being over a century ago in 1909, and Teide's own complex having erupted in the centuries before that. The caldera it sits in was born from collapse and catastrophe. This is a volcano that has shaped its island through fire again and again, and it is, without any doubt, a volcano that will erupt again someday. The only question that has ever mattered is when, and whether we will see it coming, which brings us to the most important comparison in this entire story. Because to understand what Teide is doing now, you have to understand what happened just a short distance away, on the neighboring Canary island of La Palma in 2021. That year, a volcano on La Palma called Cumbre Vieja erupted in a catastrophe that is still fresh and raw in the memory of every Canary Islander. Rivers of lava poured down the mountainside for months, swallowing entire neighborhoods, destroying roughly 3,000 buildings, burying homes, farms, and businesses under molten rock, and forcing thousands of people to flee everything they owned. It was a devastating, life-altering disaster, and that is exactly why, when Teide starts rumbling, the people of the Canaries feel a jolt of very real, very understandable fear. They have seen, with their own eyes, what one of their volcanoes can do. But here is the crucial, honest, reassuring truth, and it is the whole point of this comparison. The scientists who monitored Teide have looked at the La Palma eruption and studied exactly what the warning signs looked like in the weeks and days before the volcano blew. And in the lead up to La Palma's eruption, the signals escalated dramatically and unmistakably. Critically, they migrated upward, climbing toward the surface as the magma rose. The ground swelled and deformed measurably, bulging as the magma accumulated. The gas emissions surged, and the earthquakes grew strong enough that people could actually feel them. It was a clear, accelerating, unmistakable march toward eruption. And when scientists look at Teide right now and compare it to that, they have stated plainly, this is not what they are seeing. Teide's earthquakes are staying deep, roughly 8 to 12 kilometers down, and they are not climbing toward the surface. The ground is not dramatically swelling, the gases are not surging, and the tremors are so small that no one on the island can feel them. The official scientific committee has confirmed that the probability of an eruption in the short or medium term has not increased. Teide is behaving like a restless but quiet volcano doing what it has done for a decade, not like a volcano marching toward an eruption. So what is actually happening down there, if not an eruption building? The scientists believe these swarms are caused by magmatic fluids and gases being injected deep into the volcano's hydrothermal system, its underground network of hot water and gas, pressurizing that system and sending up these bursts of tiny tremors without magma actually rising toward the surface. Think of it as the volcano's deep plumbing shifting and surging. It is the giant breathing in its sleep, a deep, slow, patient stirring that has been going on for years and that, so far, always settles back down. The volcano is alive. It is reminding everyone it is alive, but it is not, by every measure the scientists can take, preparing to erupt. So how does an island live with a giant like this? The answer is a model of how to handle a natural hazard with maturity instead of panic. Tenerife keeps Teide under constant world-class surveillance. The island's authorities have coordinated with all its municipalities, run planning meetings with the scientists, and prepared eruption response simulations for the at-risk areas. Not because disaster is imminent, but because a prepared island is a safe island whenever that distant day comes. And through every one of these swarms, the official message has been consistent and wise. Keep people fully informed, but do not let them panic. The national park around Teide has stayed open, welcoming record numbers of visitors, even as the news reports swirl. It remains safe to visit, safe to climb, safe to live there. The islanders have, remarkably, learned to coexist with their giant, to respect it, to watch it, and to go on living their beautiful lives in its shadow. Let me leave you with the bigger thought, because I think Mount Teide teaches something profound about how to live beside danger. Here is a mountain of breathtaking beauty, drawing millions who come to marvel at it. And it is, at the very same time, a sleeping giant with the power to reshape an island, stirring in its sleep as we speak. Both of those things are true at once. And the wisdom of the Canary Islands is that they do not respond to this with either denial or terror. They respond with respect and with science. They keep their eyes fixed on the giant. They read its every tremor and swell and breath, and they let the honest data guide them, which right now says clearly that the giant is breathing, not waking. We cannot stop Teide. We cannot know the exact day it will finally stir toward fire, whether that is in 10 years or 10,000. But we can watch it, understand it, and be ready. And in doing so, turn the fear of a sleeping giant into a calm, clear-eyed coexistence with one of the most magnificent and powerful features on our planet. The mountain rumbled, the scientists watched, and life on the beautiful island goes on. We are going to keep tracking Mount Teide and everything the scientists discover. So subscribe so you never miss an update, and drop that comment I asked for at the start. Have you seen Teide, or is Tenerife on your travel list? Because behind every rumble beneath that mountain are nearly 1 million real people living beside a giant, and understanding it is how we all stay calm and ready. Let us hit 5,000 likes on this one. Stay curious, stay informed, look out for the people around you, and I will see you in the next one.